What up? Welcome to the Cedric Sports Training YouTube channel. Here to give my prediction on Canelo versus Crawford, a big fight happening. This is your first time being here. Thank you for joining me. I am your host, Cedric Ben. I've been an amateur boxing coach for almost 20 years now. I've had numerous national champions, male and female. I'm currently an assistant coach with Team Canada. I want to give a quick shout out to my boxer, Kioma, with Team Canada. Just placed top 8 in the world at the World Championships this past week in Liverpool. And also shout out to my other boxer, Hunter Lee, undefeated as a professional right now, signed with Cronk Promotions, fighting again October 3rd, about to be 3-0. All right, let's get right to it. Canelo versus Crawford. If you haven't done it yet, press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tell a friend to tell a friend. We're going to get into some details about this prediction. What I like to specifically do is give some facts. I'm not just here running my mouth and giving my opinion. I want to give some facts to back up my opinion. So in the chat, please do the same thing too. I appreciate the comments, but give some facts to back up what you're saying. All right, let's get right into it. Let's get right into the comparisons. And I'll give my official prediction scorecard at the end of this too. So comparing both boxers, first of all, Saul Canelo Alvarez coming into this match with a record of, I got my box rec up right now, 63 wins, 39 of those coming by knockout, with only 2 losses and 2 draws. Those 2 losses coming to Floyd Mayweather and Dimitri Bivol, underrated boxer. Terence Crawford coming into this fight with a record of 41 wins with 0 losses, 0 draws, with 31 knockouts. So yeah. All right. So I got about 5-6 points I want to bring up here, 5-6 comparisons, and then give my scorecard at the end. So number one, looking at their resumes. Who has the better resume? It definitely has to be Canelo Alvarez with his 63 fights and fighting a few Hall of Famers on his resume already. The one time, when we did question Crawford before the Spence fight, everyone is saying the same thing that they're saying now. He hasn't really fought top level competition, so how do we really know he's going to be able to compete at the highest level? And then he went out and smashed Earl Spence. Now, yes, okay, you could say that's not the same comparison because this is somebody that's in 2 weight classes higher than him. But I got to remind people, that Earl Spence win for Crawford was not just a regular win. I don't want to get too far into this, but when you talk about the pound for pound list, when people make their pound for pound list, there's no specific criteria, right? But it's really just people's opinion. But there's certain guys that, even if you're on totally opposite ends of opinions on certain things, there are certain guys that everyone can agree are should be on that list. For example, like Floyd Mayweather. If everyone will agree when he was fighting would be on on the list, at the top of the list. My whole point of saying that is, at the time that Terence Crawford and Earl Spence fought each other, that was probably maybe the 3rd or 4th time since people have been making pound for pound lists that 2 fighters on the pound for pound list fought each other. All right. And my whole point of bringing that up is to say that Terence Crawford, maybe his resume before that, he didn't have some of the top names, he did have top names. But I mean, that Earl Spence win, when was the last time? The last time that 2 people on the pound for pound list fought each other was probably Ward and Kovalev. Before that, it didn't happen since the 80s. So yeah, that Earl Spence win for Crawford was very big. So with that being said, Canelo still has the better resume. Canelo still has the better resume, but Crawford, that Earl Spence win puts Crawford right up there for that pound for pound thing. Number two, who has more power? Who has more power? We got what up? What's up in the chat? We got Tom Aspinall is the best. It's a boxing show, homie. Um, God bless you too, Jesse Roberts. Number two, who has more power? This is up for debate here because Canelo specifically, Canelo hasn't had a knockout. I got my notepad here, just giving you my facts and stats and facts. Canelo has not had a knockout, hasn't had a knockout in the past 5 years. And when I bring that up to people, they'll say, well, yeah, that was against guys that are the same size as him or even bigger. Berlanga came into that fight at like 190 after weighing in at 168. But then I remind people, when he fought Charlo was in the exact same situation as Terrence Crawford right now. Charlo came into that fight versus Canelo off of a year layoff, and he moved up from 152 to 168 to fight Canelo. Exactly what Crawford's doing right now. Now, with that being said, I hear a lot of people saying, you don't really count Terrence Crawford fighting at 154 because he only had one fight. Well, he only had one fight, but you got to look deeper into that. What's the reason why he even fought at 154? It wasn't just for just for fun, for something to do. It's because he couldn't make 147 anymore. That fight with Madridov, which I have on the fight right now, was like almost a year after the Earl Spence fight. Right? So anyways, there's a reason he didn't just fight at 154 for something fun to do. He did it because it was hard for him to make 147. So he's not jumping up 3 weight classes. It's still just 2 weight classes. All right. So that question, that was about the power. I just said Canelo hasn't had a knockout in 5 years, but remind you about the Charlo one. Now, with that being said, Crawford, before his last fight versus Madrimov, he's had 11 stoppages in a row. 11 against professional fighters. Now, with that being said, the contradiction, people will say, well, yeah, but it was against guys in lower weight classes. Yes, this is true. This is true. He had that one fight at 154, getting adjusted to that weight class. So that is a reasonable question coming into this fight with Crawford. Does he have the power? You don't have to have knockout power, but I always remind people, like, Floyd is the best example. When Floyd moved up in weight classes, he didn't have one punch knockout power, but he had respectable power, meaning that you weren't just gonna walk him down and just throw punches at him because he didn't throw that hard. Like, he might not be able to knock you out with one shot, but he had respectable power that you weren't just gonna walk into the fire. So that's what I believe, the type of power that Crawford will bring in. He's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna stop Canelo. If he does, that'll be wow. But I think he has respectable enough power to keep Canelo off of him, at least for the first half of the fight. Point number 3, or question number 3: who has the tougher, stronger, more tested chin? I think it's what. Not. I think it's. I don't think there's even any question about this. It's Canelo Alvarez. I think Canelo probably has the best chin in all of boxing. Him and Tyson Fury. I always said, when Tyson Fury got up from those Deontay Wilder bombs, I said Tyson Fury, that chin of his is more than respectable. Same thing with Canelo Alvarez. The only time that we've ever seen him hurt was early in his career, way early in his career, when he fought Ricky Hatton's brother. He got hurt by Ricky Hatton's brother. That was the only time he's been visibly hurt. Other than that, and that was even before the Floyd fight. Since then, we haven't seen Canelo even close to being hurt. like not even close. We've never seen him wobbly, never seen him like in trouble. You know, the first Triple G fight, which I thought Triple G won. You know, I just thought Triple G won off of boxing skills. Even with the Bivol fight, Bivol was a light heavyweight, a weight class higher than Canelo. He didn't beat Canelo because he hurt him. He just beat him off of boxing skills, right? So I think there's no question. Canelo definitely has the tougher chin there. And Crawford, with that being said, Crawford, you know, we've seen Crawford visibly hurt before by smaller guys. Most notably when he fought Gamboa. And that fight was at 135 pounds. This is at 168. Now, with that being said, the 4 or 5 times that we've seen, or I say 4 or 5, it might have been 3 or 4. The 3 or 4 times that we've seen Terrence Crawford visibly hurt, obviously he's still undefeated, so he came through, weathered the storm, and did his thing to win the fight, right? So, but again, he's never fought someone that weighs this much, that also has the talent level that he has. I think Crawford's boxing skills are slightly better than Canelo at this stage of their careers, even though, you know, BoxRec's funny. BoxRec, I'm pretty sure they're the same age. I think Crawford might be actually a little bit older. Canelo's 35 years old, which is crazy to think. This guy has 63 fights, only at 35 years old. He turned pro at 15 years old. That's crazy. I got to do another show on that. So yeah, we've seen Crawford hurt. There's no question there. Canelo has the tougher chin there. So that's something big going into this fight. You're the smaller guy with not a questionable chin, because again, he's undefeated, but we've seen him hurt, and you're fighting someone that's 2 weight classes above what you normally fight at. So that's a big question. We don't know how that's going to play out. That was number 3. All right, number 4. Number 4, ring generalship. Who is going to control the fight more? Who's going to control where the fight is happening? Looking at both of their fights lately, starting with Canelo first. Canelo again, even though he might be younger than Crawford, he's been in, you know, more mileage. There's more mileage on the body. Canelo used to stop guys early and late in fights, but lately, what Canelo has been doing after the Plant fight, like what he does is he'll usually drop his opponents early, and then he'll drop you early, get you afraid of him, and then for the rest of the fight, he'll just kind of go on cruise control, knowing that you're not going to do anything to risk, you know, getting hurt again, and he's just going to cruise to a victory. He's been doing that for the past couple of years now. Drop you early and then just go on cruise control. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of that, Terrence Crawford, he specifically turns it up late. He starts slow and he finishes strong. You think about the Sean Porter fight, when his corner told him that he was down, he's like, "What? I'm down," and then went out and stopped him the very next round. When he fought Benavidez's brother there, stopped him late. Who else was it? Anyways, he's undefeated. So everyone, Gamboa, even the Madronov fight, the last one that he had at 154. You know, a lot of people saying he struggled. First of all, he won the fight, and what helped him win the fight was the second half, when he actually was backing Madronov up. I got the fight on right now, actually. The first half of the fight, yeah, Madrimov was doing his thing. Again, first time at that higher weight class, you're fighting a bigger guy. Madrimov only had like 11 fights, but he was one of those guys from amateur from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, who had a high level amateur experience. So that's what gave Crawford trouble, even though he still won. Right? So yeah, so Crawford finished it strong late. So I think that's how he's gonna pull it off. What do we got here? What do we got here? That was number 4. Number 5, boxing skills. Who has the better boxing skills? I mean, you can break this down in 100 different ways, but just from the basics, starting with the jab, I think Crawford has the better jab. And remember, Crawford could jab from southpaw and orthodox. Which one's he going to come out with? So you got to prepare. When you're fighting Crawford, you got to prepare for 2 fighters. Yeah. So Crawford has a better jab. With that being said, what I believe he's going to use is anyway. Well, let me get into Canelo first. Canelo has trouble with boxers. If you followed his career, um, not just Floyd, but Lara, which I think Lara won that fight. I didn't score it. I wasn't scoring fights at the time, but that was a very close fight. Lara, Austin Trout, of course, Floyd. Now, even with the Charlo fight and his last fight against Skull, with those 2 fights, people say like, both of those fighters just ran the whole time. Listen, man, even if a boxer does not want to engage with you, someone like Canelo, this guy, you have 63 professional fights. You've been a professional since you were 15 years old, and you're 35 now with 63 professional fights. You don't know how to cut off the ring yet? Come on, man. I'm not just gonna let him off the hook that easily by saying, Charlo and Skull just ran the whole time. The ring is not that big. Canelo is the A side, so he gets to determine the size of the ring. So I guarantee he made those rings smaller, not bigger for their advantage, right? So no, I'm not giving Canelo that excuse there. So Canelo has trouble with boxers now. I don't think Crawford is going to move around the way that Skull and Charlo were. At the same time, Terrence Crawford has very high level boxing IQ. He's not going to be dumb enough just to stand in front of Canelo and trade with him. I think he's going to do somewhere in the middle, kind of like Floyd. I'm not trying to say Crawford has like Floyd or Lomachenko in his prime type footwork, but I think he has good enough educated boxing footwork to get himself out of bad positions. Like I don't think Canelo's going to be able to keep Crawford against the ropes where it's hard for him to get out. No, the same footwork with Bivol, the same footwork that Bivol used to get away from Canelo and avoid those bombs. I think Crawford will do the same thing too. What else do I got here? And that was it for boxing skills. The last one is just my official scorecard. So my official scorecard is 2 of the judges will have it 115, 115, and 1 judge will have it 116, 112 for your new undisputed 3 division belt champion, Terrence Bud Crawford. Yes, that's my official prediction. Majority decision for Terrence Bud Crawford, or that would be unanimous. I'm going with unanimous, but it could also be a majority, which means 2 out of the 3 judges got it for Terrence Crawford. It's going to be close, though. Oh yeah, I usually say this in between the show too. If you haven't done it yet, if you appreciate the facts that I gave you today or tonight, not just giving you facts, not just giving you my opinion, but the facts to back up what I'm saying. Please press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tell a friend to tell a friend. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna go live. If you have no way of watching the fight yourself, I'm gonna be live on my YouTube channel during the fight, giving my scorecard and giving live commentary on what's going on during the fight. So, yeah. I'll see you guys tomorrow night around the same time. Oh, no, a lot earlier than this. All right. Thank you very much for being here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.